impressing your friends. Don't care about fitting in the crowd. I'll say it one time and I'll say it loud. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take dope or have affairs. Just call me square, 'cause I don't care. I won't do the things I don't believe in. I don't care about impressing your friends. Don't care about fitting in the crowd. I'll say it one time and I'll say it loud. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take dope or have affairs. Just call me square, 'cause I don't care. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain. You complain about the things I cook. You complain about the way I look. You complain about the clothes I wear. And you don't like my hair. You complain because I don't work. You say I'm a no-good jerk. And then I go to work and you go berserk. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
And watch for an accident in Mobile, Schillinger Road at Old Shell Road. And we have some slowing developing on Highway 59 south from I-10 to Gulf Shores. It's a 48-minute drive. Getting slow at the Bankhead Tunnel east on Highway 98. From Government to I-10, it's a 4-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by iHeartAdvertising.com.
Run a business and not thinking about podcasting? Think again. More Americans listen to podcasts than ad-supported streaming music from Spotify and Pandora. And as the #1 podcaster, iHeart's twice as large as the next two combined. Learn how podcasting can help your business at iHeartAdvertising.com.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Deposit. That's deposit. Enter it now at newsradio710.com. The Uncle Henry Show. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
Simply taking a hot shower or a bath helps. It has been shown that this helps reduce stress. And think of other ways that might help you personally. That might be listening to music. That might be engaging in an adult coloring book or just doodling.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. And if you are listening to this by choice, if you've not just accidentally stumbled into it, if you're listening by choice, thank you very much for making that choice. Thank you for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. I appreciate it very, very much. Once again, here we are together, me and you, the two of us here trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on in the world around us? What has gotten into people? As each day goes by, I feel like I know less about what in the world is going on with people in this world around us. Well, here we are. We got a lot to go into, of course, as is usual these days on a talk show here on the Uncle Henry Show. And if you want to jump in here, if there's something you want to tell me, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. That's unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. If you'd like to send me an old-fashioned electronic mail message, Now, before I get into all these different topics, all these different news items to go over with you, I do want to mention, and I know you're probably, even though the voting for the Lagniappe Nappy Awards, oh, I'm sorry, I mispronounced it, the Lagniappe. You know, the newspaper, the local newspaper here, Lagniappe, they have their annual Lagniappe Nappy Awards. And even though the voting just started at 3 o'clock this afternoon, you're probably already sick of hearing about it. You're probably already sick of seeing it on your social media feeds. But I do want to mention, I won't talk about it every day, maybe just every other day or something like that. But I do want to mention that I've been blessed to be nominated, and I'm a finalist in several categories this year in the Nappy Awards. You can vote for me right now. VoteNappies.com. That's VoteNappies.com. I would appreciate your vote. They got me in for the best radio overall. They've got me in for talk show host. I'm nominated again for Quintessential Mobilian, which is just a wonderful honor to think that I would quintessence. When you think of Mobile, you would think of me as the quintessence of it. But I believe for the first time ever, I'm in a category I've never been in before, and it's not anything weird like, you know, best hoo-ha waxer or anything like that. The category that I did not expect to get in, and I'm in this year, is Best Mobilian Right Now. Yeah. They've got me as a finalist. I don't know how that happened. Have we run out of people? Maybe we have. You know, the census numbers indicate people are leaving. But I'm in that category in the Nappy Awards for Best Mobilian Right Now, competing against young Mayor Sparrow. And many other people that I'm sure that have done wonderful things. But I would really appreciate, like a personal favor, I would really appreciate your vote in the Best Mobilian Right Now category. I really would. And I think I've got a lot of reasons you should vote for me in that category, Best Mobilian Right Now. I can tell you this. Now, yeah, I've been living in Mobile, in the city limits, for numerous of years now. And I can tell you in the last year that you would have to count for nappy voting, I have not been charged or convicted of any crime in the city of Mobile. This can be confirmed. I do almost all of my shopping, just about every single bit of my shopping in the city limits of Mobile, Alabama, with all that sales tax that I'm paying go to the city of Mobile. I'm paying for all this garbage that they're doing. Now, I'm not one of these people that runs over to Spanish Fort or runs over to the outlets. Going to go shopping over in this county. No. I do my shopping here. I'm a man. I want to shop as close to my house as is possible. So I do that. I do my business here. I support local Mobile businesses and also spread the good news about local businesses to other people so that other people can shop and enjoy those local businesses. You've noticed it. When I drive the streets of the city of Mobile, when I'm driving around, Airport Boulevard, Cottage Hill Road, Dolphin Street, all the potholed places, I drive the speed limit, and I use my turn signals. I do. I use my turn signals. I do that so that the people behind me will understand my goals in driving, and so they can plan their own driving accordingly behind me. I use my turn signals. You ought to vote for that. Ought to give me the award, that all by itself. Also, listen to this. Another reason you should vote for me is Best Mobilian Right Now. When I walk my dog in my Midtown neighborhood, I always carry more than one plastic bag in my pocket so that when my dog defecates, I pick up the dog poop and I carry it around with me so that my dog does not soil the neighborhood in a disgusting fashion. I carry it around with me, and it's disgusting. I don't like it. There's nothing. You never feel dignified walking around with a bag of dog crap. But I do this because I love Mobile. In fact, when I walk on my street and I see litter, I pick it up and I put it in a trash receptacle. Just last week, some idiots threw a bunch of Crystal fast food bags, which was a shock because normally the people that litter in my neighborhood have better taste. But I voluntarily beautified Mobile by picking up those Crystal trash bags and throwing them away. Also, I offer free advice over the air to the people that lead Mobile. You know, Mobile would be even better off if my advice had been followed by these local leaders. But I give this advice for free to these people. And I also offer Mobile's elderly an outlet to express themselves on this radio show. And also Mobile's eccentric citizens. They also have an outlet on this show. There's many other reasons, but please, I believe I'm qualified, maybe even more than young Mayor Spiro, to be best Mobilian right now. So please, votenappies.com. Uncle Henry, best Mobilian right now.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, watch for an accident northbound I-110 at Brent Lane. We also have an accident Schillinger Road at Old Shell Road in Mobile. Stalled vehicle in the right lane, Beverly Parkway at North W Street in Pensacola. And at the Bankhead Tunnel on eastbound Highway 98, it's a 3-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's new Biggie Deals.
Let me see, do I have any YouTube viewers? Let me activate the YouTube on desktop and see if anybody's looking on YouTube. Right now I'm in the process of YouTube activation. I'm now looking at the YouTube. Yes, I see a small number of people. Excuse me. I almost ran a rerun this afternoon. I would like to say hello to Bama Big Man, Excalibur One Force, Larry Morting, Chuck Greer. Chuck, I like that you have common sense in the chat. And in terms of me being competitive about this, I'll explain that in the next segment of the show. There's a reason. I would rather not even talk about it, but I'll explain. Richard Harvey. And Richard Harvey, you know, my horn, I don't feel comfortable talking about my horn right now. 69-year-old Chris of West Loxley, KP of shirtbutter.com. I don't know if I mentioned KP before, but I'm mentioning him again. The Love Freak 69. Thank you for watching. Thank you all. Yes, I almost played a rerun this afternoon. I'm having some I don't know what's wrong. I don't think it's I'm not emergency room sick. In fact, I'm probably sure I'm here tomorrow, but not feeling well this afternoon. Not feeling well this afternoon. But I'm going to move forward because there's nothing else to put on. Well, there is, but oh, and it ain't allergy. No, 69-year-old Chris, I wish it were allergies. Then there would be some type of pill, some type of Benadryl. It is not related to my horn. I will let you know it is not horn related. And then let me see, what can I tell you about? Going to be back on the radio in 90 seconds. I'll put it this way. I've never thrown up at work. I've never done that. Not that I can remember. What can I tell you? Going to be back on the radio in about 1 minute. Do I have time for... I saw a weird news story today about a family bought a house, allegedly, that had so many garter snakes that they moved. They had to move because they couldn't get rid of all the garter snakes. And I've never heard of this. It must be true because it was on TikTok.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster. Buying custom blinds shouldn't be complicated.
Oh, you need to buy from... This guy started his business in his garage.
You install and you save big on custom blinds. Ordering takes minutes, installation is easy, and we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
And it'll look like you did it.
The Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show, it's 520. Telephone number here if you want to bring up a news item, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. I used the first segment of the program to ask for you to vote for me in the Nappy Awards, votenappies.com. I don't want to sound, I'm generally not this competitive, but I got married a year ago. And my wife wants me to win. So this is one of these domestic tranquility issues. By voting for me in the nappies, you are helping me in my relationship. And one more thing before I get off this topic of Best Mobilian right now, because I'm shocked that I'm in a category with young Mayor Spiro, with the two of us and a bunch of other people. I don't know. I forgot all the other. No offense to the other people I can't remember that are nominated for Best Mobilian right now at votenappies.com. One big reason to vote for me as Best Mobilian right now is if you've listened to me for any length of time, you know that I do have very strong opinions. I have very strong political opinions, but I have never expressed my political opinions by wearing a large male genital costume like the freaks of Fairhope. That's right. I don't do it like that. I do it in a civilized way. I don't put on large, disgusting anatomical costumes and parade in the streets to express my political opinions. I do them here, and I try to do it respectfully, fully clothed, at all times. I'm very unlike the freaks of Fairhope. And speaking of Fairhope, here's another, this is a big reason, and I'll get off this topic. This is just one more big reason that I should be voted Best Mobilian right now, even over young Mayor Spiro. Is I own a house in Fairhope down near the Gambinos. But I choose voluntarily. I voluntarily choose to live in Midtown Mobile, which has numerous torn up, pothole marked streets, And in the last calendar year, more than one high-speed chase has ended in my neighborhood near my house. Despite all of that, I choose to live here because I love Mobile. VoteNappies.com. Best Mobilian right now. All right. I will move off of that topic. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, UncleHenry@iHeartMedia.com. That's UncleHenry@iHeartMedia.com. Let's see, I got a voicemail that is, I don't even know how to respond to, but I'm going to share this voicemail with you because I do like to highlight, as I mentioned in the previous segment, this show is an opportunity for the elderly of Mobile to express their thoughts. Many people don't want to hear what the elderly have to say because many people are stupid. We would be better off if the elderly were listened to. In fact, if the majority of our media were over the age of 60, then we would be in a better shape as a country. But this show is a venue for the elderly. This show is also a venue for the eccentric, the people that think a little bit differently. And this man, I think, qualifies in both categories. Let's listen to this voicemail.
Hey, you got to give them Iranians some credit, man. Them boys over there fighting, man. Them boys got a hold, boy. They fight. Who do you think? God on the Iranian side or he on the American side? God is not on nobody's side. He ain't on the American side and he ain't on Iran side. He ain't on nobody's side. Yep. Because God and Jesus, they're black.
What?
They ain't on nobody's side.
Now wait. Now let me back that up a little bit. There was some toward the end that I'm not sure I understood it correctly. Something about God.
By the side. He ain't on America's side and he ain't on Iran's side. He ain't on nobody's side. Yep. Because God and Jesus, they're black.
All right. Well, hey, thank you for your voicemail. I don't even know what to say about this. They didn't teach me that in Sunday school. You know, I went a lot. In fact, when I was a child, started out as a little child, would go and they would have, in fact, I enjoyed going because back in the day, we didn't have, color television or anything like that. And when I went to Sunday school, they would tell us Bible stories and they had like a felt board and they would take the different people mentioned in the Bible and they would put them on the felt board and you could see the story unfold through felt. And I learned, and they never taught me about the ethnicity of God or the ethnicity of Jesus. So thank you. You've given me something to ask the people about at Revive Church on this topic. But that was caller Al. Al, if you're wondering about Iran and God in Iran, I think Glenn Beck, he of all the hosts on this station, he gets more into the Lord than anybody else and makes pronouncements that are of a similar nature. So maybe the Glenn Beck, maybe you should use the talkback mic in the iHeartRadio app to send that message to Glenn Beck. He would be more qualified than me to have some type of discussion about the Lord's ethnicity. Hello, caller. Hey, you are live on the radio.
All right. I was when I was listening to you yesterday about May the 4th.
Yes.
And you was talking about Star Wars and all the other kind of stuff. I got to thinking, back in the day when the VCR first came out was about at that time was about 1978, 79. I got to thinking that the Star Wars was actually the first VCR tape that I ever watched on there. I'm just kind of curious because that'd be about the time, you know, that they was coming out with a. What would you say that that was maybe your first movie you watched on a VCR?
Well, no. I mean, I remember. Look, I've got to go into the break. I'm sorry, I've got to cut you short. I'm going to the news break. I'll pick this up. This is a very electrifying topic. I will pick up this topic after the break about the VCRs and bad movies like Star Wars on video cassette.
Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design.com Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, watch for an accident northbound I-110 at Brent Lane. We also have an accident Schillinger Road at Old Shell Road in Mobile. Stalled vehicle in the right lane, Beverly Parkway at North W Street in Pensacola. And at the Bankhead Tunnel on eastbound Highway 98, it's a 3-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox News, I'm Tom Graham. President Trump expressing fresh optimism about a peace deal with Iran. The two sides reportedly nearing an agreement to end the war.
The focus now is on a one-page memorandum, basically a framework for a peace proposal that would include committing Iran to a moratorium on nuclear enrichment. It is believed the deal would also call for the U.S. to lift sanctions on Tehran and both countries remove restrictions on transit through the Strait of Hormuz.
Fox's Ashley Webster stocks soaring into record territory today as Wall Street closes deep in the green.
The Dow up 611, the S&P up 105, the Nasdaq up 512. Both the S&P and the Nasdaq hitting all-time highs. The S&P on pace for its 14th record close this year. The Nasdaq its 10th record close.
Fox's Jerry Willis. America's listening to Fox News.
President Trump's expressing optimism about the war in Iran coming to an end.
They want to make a deal.
In his latest comments following reports of a deal on the table, Trump told reporters from the White House today that there have been very good talks in the past 24 hours. On that news, the president's optimism, the Dow Jones Industrial Average once again flirting with the 50,000 mark. Wall Street closing with stocks sharply higher today, with the S&P 500 and Nasdaq ending the session at record highs. Several Republican states are starting the process to redraw their congressional maps now. This as the congressional map battle is going into overdrive, it seems, following the Supreme Court's ruling striking down Louisiana's map. The High Court calling it an unconstitutional gerrymander that relied too much on race. And this is what's opening the door to Republican-led states now redrawing their maps to favor the GOP. I'm Jim Root.
Paid for by government.
YouTube viewers, going to be back on the radio here in just a few moments. Made it halfway through the hour. No upchucking occurred. Good. Let's see, I have an even smaller number of people watching on YouTube. Make it stick. Now, KP, compared to the things you've gone through, I think KP, you would be toughest listener in terms of being able to take physical punishment. And I've had many listeners that have taken tremendous physical punishment, or at least deserved it. You didn't deserve it, and you have really put up with a lot. And Chuck, you were talking about Al. I've got voicemails saved, and they'll be gone once we change our software. Lost forever. I've got voicemails from him during Iraq. that were almost the same, almost exactly the same message phoned into the show, except for the part about the Lord having a specific ethnicity, as Fred Richardson would put it. Hello to Art. Thank you for looking in. And as far as I saw somebody suggesting a shot of bourbon, that might be a good idea, because the thought of it makes me want to upchuck rapidly. It may just bring everything to it. It may speed up the process. Now let's see. I'm back on in 30 seconds. No time for any weird news. It's not been a good week for the weird news yet, but it's only Wednesday. And again, I've got a weird news story right here from China. I think they're making up stories, and they know we can't verify them because they claim they're out of China. That's what I think is happening with the weird news. Weird news scandal.
It's at 11 on News Radio 710 WNTN.
It says the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTN. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that very much. You can also hear me on 95 KSJ FM radio. Monday through Friday from 10 to 2, playing today's hottest country. Tomorrow, I'll have your chance to win tickets to see one of the most popular comedians in the country right now, Leanne Morgan. Leanne Morgan. She sold out a show at the Pensacola Bay Center September 5th. So they've added another show on September 4th. And tomorrow, if you want to try and win some Leanne Morgan tickets, I'll have comedian Leanne Morgan tickets to give away at about 11:15 tomorrow. Be listening right after 11 o'clock, around 11:15 to 95 KSJ for your chance to win tickets to see Leanne Morgan, who is one of these. There are a lot of comedians now that have gotten very popular in our country that don't cuss a lot. And I appreciate that. I do. And she's one of them. So that is your chance to win tomorrow on 95 KSJ. Telephone number here, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Anyway, a caller right as I was going into break was talking about the May the 4th be with you nonsense and the stupidity of people turning May the 4th into Star Wars Day. And he said something about Star Wars being one of the first VCR movies, one of the big video cassette movies. I don't know if that would be true or not, because people when VCRs came out, they were expensive. Not everybody could afford a VCR. I don't know what movies were the first movies that were popularly watched on video cassette. Star Wars may have been one of them. I just remember that I think I got a VCR I think I first got a VCR in 1985 maybe, or 86. And I do remember the first movie that I rented at a local Mobile, Alabama. Yes, this was Mobile, Alabama. I was renting in Midtown. I was renting an apartment on Imogene back in 1985 or 86. This apartment, it had a bathroom, but it did not have a shower. Just had a bathtub. I don't want to share any memories of that. But I remember getting that VCR, and the first movie that I rented was A Fistful of Dollars by Clint Eastwood. I'm proud of this. Yes, I'm proud that was the first movie that I rented, because I walked for the first time back. You young people under the age of 50 don't understand this, but you couldn't watch anything on demand. It had to be on a TV or at a movie theater. It had to be on at the time. You couldn't just on demand watch something. And when I walked into the video store at the first time in my life, and there's all these videos lined up, and I can pick any video I want to pick, any movie I want to pick, I immediately gravitated to A Fistful of Dollars by Clint Eastwood. And I'm very proud of this, because it just indicates that I'm a male, definitively. Not that there's any argument about that, but that was the testosterone working. The testosterone influenced my movie selection, and the very first thing that I rented was A Fistful of Dollars by Clint Eastwood, a good old-fashioned cowboy movie from the early 1960s. Now, other people, and it only took a few years for video, that whole thing, to get disgusting, because once they had video cassette recorders, and then they had places to go rent videos, then they started putting pornography on the tapes, and then you would have places in Mobile where there'd be a doorway with a beaded curtain, and you'd ask the owner, well, what's back there? Why are all these men walking into this room where there's a beaded curtain? Got sick. But, sir, I don't know how that tied into your Star Wars theory about Star Wars being one of the first VCR movies. Maybe it was one of the first movies of its kind, and then little children were programmed to like it, even though it was average to below average. Hello, caller.
Henry, you're bringing back great memories this afternoon.
What, of walking through beaded curtains?
Clint Eastwood in the VCR.
Yes.
1986, 87, you're dead on. Went to Blockbuster Friday afternoon right after school, because we were going to do Western night on Friday night with maybe a taco salad bar or maybe a big chili bar. And it was Clint Eastwood. It was either the good, the bad, and the ugly, or Fistful of Dollars.
Yes, indeed. And Good, Bad, and the Ugly, that is very intense for a movie night.
Oh, it is. But you know, that lasted, nearly 3 hours.
Yes,
so
yes.
It got you through all the night, and got it all in. And then my mother was a huge John Wayne fan, not necessarily his westerns, but we would top it off on Saturday night with The Quiet Man.
Oh, yeah.
John Wayne
Okay.
and Maureen O'Hara.
Yeah.
Yeah, great memories there you bringing back. That's much better than Star Wars any day of the week.
Well, and it's, you bring that up, you brought up Blockbuster. We all love the convenience of being able to have a galaxy of movies at our fingertips, but there was a tremendous amount of fun going with a group to pick out something to rent. That was just a lot of fun.
Absolutely was. And I think there's, one Blockbuster left in the country, maybe out in Oregon somewhere.
Yes.
I think I read not too long ago.
There is one left, yes.
So kudos to them, sir.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for your phone call. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, Uncle Henry at iHeartMedia.com. That's Uncle Henry. Now, since we're remembering, since we're going down memory lane, which I did not intend to do on the program today, but why not? I saw a news story today where allegedly, and everything is now alleged with anything in the news, there was a study on how childhood is, how much technology kids use, and how much supervision kids have. Listen to some of these stats. I don't know how trustworthy this is, but listen, this is from Fox News, an American childhood study.
Social psychologists have underscored the value of kids spending less time on devices and more time outside with friends. But new research from the Institute for Family Studies finds that message might not be getting through to parents. The data shows around 60% of 17-year-olds are still not allowed to leave their neighborhood unsupervised.
Nearly 60% can't leave the neighborhood unsupervised at age 17.
11% cannot leave the house unsupervised.
11% of 17-year-olds can't leave the house.
16% cannot leave their street. 28% cannot leave their yard. 8% are able to go anywhere they want. The study also finds that 50% of 3-year-olds use a tablet, iPad, or Kindle. Many of those children have few or no restrictions, and 60% of kids have a smartphone by age 11. Gianna Gelosi, Fox News.
All right, now the technology part. That genie, you'll never get that genie back in the bottle with the technology. You're worried about kids on screens. Too late to worry. It's too late. Now you got to worry about them actually implanting the technology into the kid. But as far as supervising kids, high percentages of 17-year-olds can't go anywhere unsupervised. When I was 10, I could get on a bike and stay gone all day.
And we have some slowing on Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10. It's an 8-minute drive. And we have congestion on Highway 31 north from Spanish Fort to Highway 59. It's an 18-minute drive.
YouTube viewers, going to check in and see if you're there. And I see a small number of people are there. Bama big man Rio Bravo. Is that the one? There's a John Wayne movie where, and it's really weird, in my personal opinion, where there's a woman on the out in the West, and her husband has passed away or something, and she's got her son by herself. And in the movie, the Native Americans are like, there's like the Native Americans come through and they tell her something like, this kid needs to be raised by a man or something. I don't even remember all the details, but I think I remember John Wayne throwing a child into a creek to teach him to swim. You remember? Is that the movie? Oh, the Dean Martin singing movie was that was Rio Bravo. No, the John Wayne movie. There's a really good John Wayne movie that has. Gosh, it's been years since I've seen it. Was Rick Nelson in that? Can't remember. Hondo, yes. KP Hondo. Hondo is the one where the kid's thrown in the creek. It's a weird John Wayne movie. The ending looks tacked on. But Rio Bravo, Dean Martin is trying to quit drinking in the movie? It's good. All right, I've made it. Back on the radio in about 90 seconds. There is a Pennsylvania college student who is paying for his college education by beekeeping. He keeps bees and sells their honey and claims he's turned a profit from day one. All right, he might not have needed to go to college. I'm not against college, but if he's already turning a profit from day one, maybe he needed to just be a bee guy. All right, back on the radio in about 45 seconds.
Isolated near the coast tonight, but ramp up tomorrow with a few of those strong storms getting closer to I-10. We'll see highs near 81. I'm Fox 10 News Chief Meteorologist Jason Smith of this iHeartRadio station.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster. Buying custom blinds shouldn't be complicated or stressful. That's why we make it simple and affordable. You measure, you install, and you save big on custom blinds. Ordering takes minutes, installation is easy, and we guarantee they'll fit. Blindster.com.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710, WNTM, an iHeartRadio station.
Uncle Henry Show, it's 5:50. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes, and then more Uncle Henry Show. Let me see, I got a quick voicemail here. I got a couple I want to play. This just came in a little while ago.
Hey, good afternoon, Uncle Henry. This is RT.
Yes.
Hey, if Gene Roddenberry and George Lucas were competing for nappies, Gene Roddenberry would have my vote, hands down. God bless Gene Roddenberry. Better space story. Better outlook towards the future. Anyway, have a great day. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. RT, thank you. George Lucas and Gene Roddenberry, both overrated. No offense to fans, but both of them are overrated. But I would be with you on the nappy vote if they were up for nappies. Like for I don't even know what the category would be. But I'm with you, RT. Thank you, RT, for listening. Thank you for your voicemail. Voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message for the Uncle Henry Show. This is a voicemail that came in this afternoon.
Roll Tide, huh? Well, Uncle, I'm calling about it again. This time was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I went to the mailbox just a moment ago, opened the mailbox door. It's not a very large mailbox. And it was crammed full of all but two things were not voting advertisements. One was a Walmart flyer, about 4 pages long. And heck, I done forgot what the other one was. It may be somebody want me to vote for them too, but it's in an envelope. But Uncle, I think I counted 6 vote for me advertisements there. 2 of them was the same feller, but there was 2 different ones. I thought at first because both of them had a picture of him on them, but then when you flipped it over to the flip side and then opened it up, it had different things about how good they was and how bad their opponent was. Again, I'm not going to divulge the identity of said political nemesis because, well, I just don't care. But that one particular one that had the 2 of the same person, I'm definitely not going to be voting for him. And the guy that's running against him, I think I'm going to vote for him, although I come out the door yesterday, out the front door, and I was turned around, faced back at the door, doing something. I don't remember what now, and directly I hear, "Good afternoon." Turn around, look. If some guy done parked up in the driveway and walked up to me, he starts telling me he wants me to vote for this other feller that I'm talking about I might vote for. And I let him say his little spiel and go on. So now I'm getting door-to-door service, Uncle. You ever had them come to your door like that before? Holy mackerel.
69-year-old Chris, thank you for your voicemail. Voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976 to leave a message. I've had pastors come to my door, but I have not had anybody like that. Not for any kind of statewide office. Was it a Baldwin County office? Maybe somebody running for county commission or something like that? I would, thinking about all these ads that you're getting in the mail, why would they spend the money? And they must work. They must work if they're willing to spend that amount of money, because that is not cheap, sending out all those ads. But I have, since you've called about it, I've kept track. I've only gotten 2 the entire election season in my neighborhood. Now, as I mentioned before, when I lived in Baldwin County, I would get just as many as you're talking about. It would be every day, several a day. In Mobile, I'm not getting. Maybe I live in a neighborhood in Midtown that the powers that be that buy this advertising think that Republicans aren't going to be voting in the Republican primary. Maybe they think my neighborhood is Democrat leaning or something. But I don't know. I wouldn't mind somebody coming to the door. In fact, that would show in today's modern political climate, somebody coming to the door like that would show a lot of courage if it's for a statewide race. All right, just about out of time here on the Uncle Henry Show for this segment, but we have more coming up after the news. I got a few news items I want to get into. In fact, speaking of the election, there's a poll out. WBRC up in Birmingham did a poll, and I don't know what the results are yet. So I'm going to check that out with you after the news break as the Uncle Henry Show continues here on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Securing America.
During Tuesday. Thank you for watching on YouTube. I know I'll be here tomorrow. I will. Unless I can figure out a way out. But I'll be here tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Have a pleasant evening and a pleasant tomorrow.
82nd is the core of our nation's immediate response force and ready to deploy within hours of notice.
The chairman says the 82nd is not just limited to jumping out of planes.
They can do the range of missions from counterinsurgency to counterterrorism operations to power projection, as they have many times over the course of the history of this great division.
And